In Revit Structure, you can create graphical column schedules that tell you the information of all the columns inside the project file. In some cases, structural engineers would like to see baseplate information that refers to specific columns within their graphical column schedule. This is a limitation within Revit Structure because base plates in the physical form are a different category than the structural columns category. Graphical columns will only read column information from the model, not structural connection information. So to refer to this information, what we can do is use alternative methods to somehow embed that information into our graphical column schedule. You'll notice here I have a sheet that has a plan, a drafted 2D detail, and the graphical column schedule. In the 2D detail of a base plate here, you'll notice that I have some key information called out, such as the spacing and the location of holes for the base plate bolts, the size of the plate, and other information. What I'm going to do is create a schedule to kind of explain what all these parameters will refer to, as listed here, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. So I'll select a category that has nothing to do with structural engineering, such as air terminals, and then I'll create a new title for my schedule. Instead of creating a schedule of components, I'll create what is called a schedule key. This will create a project parameter inside of my project that will be used for the key information to be specified here. I'll give my key a name and I'll select OK. Now to speed up the process, I've already created some additional project parameters within my file. You can use the Add Parameter button here to add these into your project. I simply gave it a name, specified its discipline and type of parameter, and its group. Now I can add these new project parameters I've created by clicking the Add button after I select them. I'll select the Sorting and Grouping tab to sort by key name, which is basically set to by default, and then I can come into the Formatting tab and specify some overrides if necessary, such as the justification of my information. Now that I have my schedule built, I need to populate it with information. So I'll simply tile my view side by side and start populating my schedule. Again, this is not a schedule that pulls data, but actually is a reference for data because it is a schedule key. So to add new rows of information, I'll select the New Rows button. I'll give the base plate a name or ID number, and then I'll start spilling out the specific information here. So the value for A is equal to this, the value for B is equal to that, and so on. I can do this as many times as necessary, or for as many base plates as I need to call out inside of my project file. So the next part of the puzzle is how to tag the information in my graphical column schedule. Because I cannot show the physical base plate in here other than a graphical symbol, I need to use a tag. You can see I have some tags on my columns already. These are structural column tags. Well, what I'm going to do is create another structural column tag which will allow me to specify the base plate information. I'll go into my options for tags. I'll select the generic tag template. I'll get rid of the temporary text that's inside the file, and then I'll start to add the necessary labels via the Home tab here. Now unfortunately, what I have to do first before I can specify the information necessary to tag my columns, I have to go and set the category of my tag, done by selecting the Family, Category, and Parameters button on the Home tab. Once I've done that, I'll select the correct category, structural column tags, and select OK. Now I can go place my label and you'll see the parameters of a structural column appear inside the list. However, the parameter that I need to specify is not available, so I'll create a shared parameter. To create a shared parameter for the first time, you simply select the Select button inside the dialog. It'll launch the Share Parameters dialog, and if you do not have a shared parameter file specified, it'll ask you to create one. If it's pointing to the wrong share parameter file, you can basically browse to it by selecting Edit and then browsing to the location. Here in the Edit Share Parameters file, you'll notice that there is a Browse and Create button. Once the share parameter file is created, I need to create a group. This allows me to make multiple parameters and group them together logically. Once I have the group created, I'll select the New Parameter button and I'll give my new parameter a name. I'll specify the discipline and the type of parameter necessary. In this case, it'll be text, and I'll select OK. And my share parameter file is set up. Now I can pick the share parameter that I just made. It'll fill out the information in the file, and now I can choose it from the fields on the left and add it to the label on the right. I can add some sample text as necessary, and then select OK. Now that my label's been specified, I can move it in position by just justifying with my nudge keys or my arrow keys on my keyboard. And then I can go save my new family into my shared location on my network drive. After the family's been saved, I can load it into my project. I'll close the family, and then I'll go and tag my columns inside my graphical column schedule. Here you can see I activated the viewport in order to do this. Now I've grouped my graphical column schedule with common columns, and as you can see here, when I scroll down the columns that I've selected in column 1 here, it does not have the base plate parameter assigned to it. So what I need to do is I need to share that parameter to the project as well. In order to do that, I'll go to the Manage tab and select Project Parameters. I'll select Add in the dialog, and then I'll browse to my shared parameter file. I'll select my share parameter I created previously for my tag, specify its group for locating it under the properties, set it to instance because I want each column to have a different base plate possibly, and then to the correct category, which in this case is structural columns. I'll select OK, and now if I select the column, I can see the base plate parameter appears. This is what my tag will read. So here I'm just going to simply input the value that is necessary, in this case BP-1. I'll hit apply, and now I should be able to tag it with my tag tool. So I'll return to the ribbon and select the Annotate tab, select Tag by Category, select the specific tag I want to use using the Tags button on the options bar, and then specifying it for the correct category. I'll select OK, and then I'll go ahead and tag my columns in my graphical column schedule. Now all I need to do is move my tag into the correct position. I'll set its orientation correctly, and then I'll move it down into the spot where it looks best. And then once completed, I can go and deactivate the view. To tie it all together, I'll just drop the legend onto the view